Hello again, everybody. Dave Stevens here for another edition of Ability Media Now, joining you from my home offices here just up the road from Quinnipiac University. And we have got a great little show for you today. It's been 10 years, and I don't want to call it a celebration because it's not a celebration, but it has been 10 years since this took place in Boston. And I warn you, it was graphic. This was the bombing that took place on April 15th, one of two bombs that went off that really changed the lives of America forever. Three people were killed, hundreds were hurt, and people really just couldn't get over it. And my guest tonight is one of those people that actually survived it. Hey, Mark, thank you for joining us as we take a look at what that day was like. What are some of your memories of what took place that day?
Um, yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. That day was crazy. The whole day just didn't feel real from the beginning. Witnessing the first bomb going off, um, and then 13 seconds later, waking up, looking up at the sky, seeing nothing but gray, and your ears ringing. And I knew what had happened. Where I was standing happened was the same thing that happened down the street. So, yeah, that day was just pretty wild, pretty adventurous.
And as we watch some of the footage of your rehab and everything, it was touch and go for a while whether you were going to keep your other leg, correct?
Yeah, it was. Very touch and go. Still kind of maybe wish they had taken it, but everything changes and
When you see these things, and I know it's 10 years and your life has changed so much since that time. When you go back to that day and now 10 years, do you still have the trauma? Do you still look around when you're at places? Are you still uneasy when you're looking around and thinking? Because again, this is America. We shouldn't have to worry about those type of situations. That's supposed to happen over there with those guys going to war.
yeah, I always looked around, I always paid attention, was always aware of my surroundings, just how I live. I knew being in a crowd like that is like shooting fish in a barrel. I said it that day to a buddy of mine that we were walking with that thought the day was so great, but my anxiety doesn't allow me to relax and enjoy that time.
And so, in those 10 years, you have made the most of those changes in your life. You've become a motivational speaker, a mentor. You help people. People can go to your website and get your services and everything like that. So, out of the negative grows a positive, and I've witnessed that firsthand, being around you and meeting you, and just the amazing person that you are. I'm so blessed that we had that opportunity to hang out and see each other, and you've changed my perspective as far as what victims are in these situations. I mean, how did you turn it around in such a positive way?
It all comes from the support, right? I mean, complete strangers that supported me, people that ran to our aid right there in those videos. You'll see in some pictures that people ran into danger to help us victims and us injured. Some injured themselves helping people. You know, um, so like my friend Jess Kensky, she was helping her husband Patrick, but yet she lost two legs and he lost one, and she was renting him aid because she was a nurse. But that's how I turned it around to a positive is just the support and the outreach that people reached out to me when I was in the hospital with gifts, cards, with knitted scarves, knitted hats, handmade quilts. It's just it was endless. Complete strangers reaching out to try to help and just send you prayers and cards with letters and young kids from middle schools and elementary schools, and they were sending just boxes and boxes of handwritten cards by young children and people that didn't even know you or thinking about you, praying for you. And I feel that way when I see tragedies on TV, and my heart goes out to these people, and that was before I got injured. So I know that was coming from a real place from these people, and that itself really motivated me to get going. And as well as having a 5-year-old boy at the time of the blast and losing my leg, like I just wanted to be a father, and I wanted to show him that you can do anything, no matter your limitations or what therefore people think might be your limitations. I mean, that coming from someone like you playing college baseball and football and participating in sports with able-bodied people, it's like we're only limited by what we limit ourselves to, and that's the truth. And that's what turned it around for me. The generosity and kindness from so many.
And that's a great point. And as I said, here's a picture of us. Again, we get to play in Major League Baseball fields playing softball together. And we've had a great time down there with the Celebrity Softball Classic. But, I've
Definitely
often
is.
wondered what, Mark, like the mentality is for you, because unlike being born black or Jewish, you know, you can only be born into your heritage. Whereas the world of the handicapped and disabled, you can join our club at any time. And unfortunately, you did have to join our club. So what is that mindset when you've had to live your life walking around and doing the things you did, and suddenly you're fighting for your life and you're fighting to save that leg and do all these things that you want to live a normal life.
Yeah, I mean, it just comes on suddenly, and that's what people like. And I try to always tell people, right? Like, so I always tell people that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you become mobility impaired, right? And at any split second, anybody any family member, any friend, or yourself could become disabled or handicapped, or however you want to put it, or mobility impaired. I like to say. Um, so with that, when that happened to me, when I my life changed, I never even a prosthetic leg. Like, I knew there was prosthetic legs, but I didn't know nothing about them. I knew nothing about wheelchairs. I knew nothing about handicap accessibility. I knew nothing. My family knew nothing. We had been blessed without having to experience or ma- you know find that knowledge, and that's a big part of what I'm working on right now. Is the big projects in the work that I'm working on right now that could change that for everybody and anybody that becomes um, mobility impaired, or that already is. And it's a big project. I've been working on it and researching for about 8 years, and I think it's finally coming to be real soon.
And you talk about the great things in your life, and another one of those happens to be your wife. I think you've been married just a little over a year and 3 months now. Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
November.
November of.
November was a year, so this November will be 2 years.
And for our audience and listeners and everything, she is limb different. She doesn't have arms and legs. And I've met her. She's a beautiful woman. We've got some great pictures of you guys here on your
No, I'm
wedding and
surprised
in
you guys
life.
didn't get any pictures.
And so, you know, tell us a little bit about how you guys met, how you hit it off, and what that life is like. Both of you, the elephant is the room in the room is both of you. It's not just you.
Friend dragged her to go to this event up in Dallas. Plus, whatever. I was like, if you come, I'm like, I'll take care of the hotel room so your friend can stay and hang out. Because the best part's the after party,
Right.
you know.
Yep.
And so so they came up. Everything was, they had a blast. And then they were leaving, and then TK had already had 2 nights at the hotel. So he's like, I'll just, you guys are leaving. He's like, no, me and Ma are leaving. I'll just give you guys our extra room for the night if you guys want to stay, because Mark's staying because he knows I never fly in and then fly out, because I have too many people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how busy we were. You didn't get to
Yep.
talk to everybody.
Yeah.
I didn't get to talk to anybody. So some of us stay around so we can hang out the next day and catch up. And so I was staying around, and plus the flight is cheaper, like on
Yeah.
different days, right?
Yep.
And and then also it's all, you know how it is. It's difficult packing up and all our equipment sometimes, and getting rushed and feeling the
Yep.
need to decompress after a weekend like that. There's a lot of walking for me, and um, so yeah, she came up, and that's how we met. And then
And the rest
that
is
was it from
history.
there. That was it, and the
And
rest
and
is
you
history.
talked about skiing and the things that you've done since the accident. You're on
Yeah.
a sled, you're playing sled hockey, you're cycling, you and your son go to Fenway. I mean, you are still living this amazing life. I mean, you have really turned that lemon into some amazing tasting lemonade, my friend.
Yeah, like likewise. You mean you do the same. I mean, come on, pinch hitting for Daryl Strawberry, and a few of the things that you've done. I mean, you've been out there playing ball with some amazing athletes and being on some fields and doing some pretty amazing things. I mean, it's as well as I know, it's a choice. You can either choose to hold your head high and push through, or you can just sit on the couch and not do nothing. We have those
Well,
days. I
Yeah,
got those
and
days I don't want to do nothing.
you continue to inspire and motivate, and in fact, I don't want to call it an anniversary because it's not a celebration. Anniversaries are celebrations. So this is the 10-year. I don't know what we're going to call it. What the
Well,
world
I
wants to
look at
call
it,
it.
we can celebrate the fact that, you know,
You
unfortunately,
survive.
some of us are here, we survived, right? We also can celebrate the fact that there's some fundraising happening, right? Like,
And you
so
got this fundraiser coming up that you're getting back in shape for this bike ride that'll be part of the Boston Marathon, a hand bike, which I've done occasionally and stuff, and we've got some old footage of when you've done it in the past. So tell us where people can send money, how they can help you out, and what this is all about.
yeah, so I am doing this year's marathon in Boston, and I'm doing it for the Greg Hill Foundation. There were so many organizations, Simplify, America's Fund, the Greg Hill, the Clatter Foundation. There was so many nonprofit organizations that came to our aid and our assistance, and so many people that came that donated in generosity and kindness. But the Greg Hill has continued to be there for me and for many other survivors. Um, so I did the Boston Marathon twice already, and that's crazy. I've never even seen this video. You showed me this video, and I've never ever seen that
I
video.
do my homework, my friend.
Dude, you need to just come work for me. Forget what these guys pay. I'll pay you. I need this.
Well,
Um,
nothing is a lot better than something, so I'll take whatever. But no,
yes.
and there are also ways for fundraising as far as these amazing shirts that you've got with some great slogans. So tell us, how can we order them? Where can people find these shirts, and the best way to help you to help others?
Yeah, so everything's on my website, right? www.markfucarill.com. Right. So there's two things happening on my website as far as money, right? So there's these t-shirts, purchasing these t-shirts, which you have to order them. And once you order them, we get the numbers in, we make them, and we ship them. Um, so it might be a little delayed, but we do have some shirts in stock. We have other shirts in stock. We're going to be adding hoodies. We're going to be adding hats. With this is an embroidered patch. Um, it's just a snapback. It's a nice snapback. We have them in fitted. We have them in flex fit. Um, they're made to order, and those t-shirts actually, the proceeds of what I make off of those shirts allow me to keep going to those events. Like, that TK event, that celebrity softball game. Listen, it's about the organizations, and unfortunately, that trip usually costs me about $1,600 at least,
Yep.
right? So I need money. I need to make money to keep pushing my word and inspiring people, and to be able to get on the phone and spend an hour with a guy who just lost his leg in a motorcycle accident, right? Like, someone reaches out to me, hey, listen, this guy, COVID came, his business got shut down. He owned a great restaurant, and he lost his business. So then in return, he lost his house because now he doesn't have his business. He can't pay his mortgage. And then his, he gets COVID. He ends up on a respirator and wakes up with no leg. Allows me to go and see him and drive an hour and a half, in my Chevy Silverado 2500. That's $100 round trip ticket, just to go get him, just to go down there and sit with him at his table at his mom's house. And he's 50 years old, 55, actually, I think he was. Talk to him, just tell him, hey, listen, there's light at the end of the tunnel, buddy. Like, you just got to go through this process and explain to him that there's organizations out there, there's people out there, there's things for you to do. Your life it's not over, it just changed, and it's just going to be what you make it, and don't rush. Like, so no one ever really came and talked to me like that. Some veterans in there, yeah, it's going to be fine, blah, 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 and I'm like, oh, yeah, great. And all I wanted to do is get on the horse and start running, um, but so that's one thing, is the t-shirts that allow me to keep doing what I'm doing and allow me to focus on the fundraising for camp, or for the Greg Hill, or for the veteran organizations with TK, right? That allows me to get out there and spread the word and tell people about the events I'm participating in. So and the second thing on there is a Greg Hill. Now that is a link on my website as well that you can click on the picture. It will take you to the Greg Hill Foundation, and there you make a donation, and that goes to the Greg Hill Foundation, and that goes to people that suffer tragedy. So the best thing about Greg Hill is tomorrow, if your kid breaks his neck playing hockey and somebody reaches out to the Greg Hill Foundation, if the opportunity's there and everything, they're there. They're the first ones there. The money's in the bank already. They're showing up because there's a whole whirlwind of stuff that's going to change in your life. Parents not working because they're going to be by the bedside of the kid, right? So now you're on, vacation time, eating it all up, money, overtime. You're not getting the overtime because you're at the hospital room. And that's what Greg Hill and them, they're there for that. They're there for the renovations. You know what I mean? And he goes on the radio and he promotes what happened to your kid, and we need the help in the community. And the community always comes through. The Greg Hill listeners are amazing. So that's who I'm riding for. So again, two links, two separate things. I have a shop and a store. Anything you buy from that store, I got the ice shakers with the Boston Strong logo in it. I got, plenty of things that purchasing those helps me keep pushing my message. And then with the Greg Hill Foundation, that goes to the Greg Hill Foundation where they do amazing things for people.
Well, I hope those 26 miles at our age don't eat you up too much. But
Ah,
Mark, as we wind up Ability Media now, I've got to ask because I've seen it. I'm not going to mention their names of who caused this traumatic thing. One survived, one got killed. Why your feelings, and I know you've been in those courtrooms, as far as why there is not a death penalty, why this person is just going to sit there forever for such a tragic crime that he committed on American soil. It was terrorism.
100%. Yeah, he knowingly put a backpack behind a tree that killed a little boy, and there was a whole family there, multiple little children, and girls and boys, and innocent people, and he knowingly did that. So the numbers are on that day, three died, and then there was two police officers that died days later. So they killed five. They mutilated 17 of us. There's 17 amputees from the Boston Marathon, 265 injured. Um, so in many others terrorized. Um, so technically, he got found guilty. He got the death penalty. Well, the Massachusetts appeals judges, of course, Massachusetts, they don't. Well, we don't put anybody to death, no matter how horrific the crime is. I mean, so basically tell everybody else in the world that it's okay to create these heinous crimes and nothing will happen to you besides you to sit in jail and be a star and be able to appeal. He's been appealing for 10 years, and our taxpayers' dollars have been paying his defense attorneys, but I'm struggling to pay for a leg in the sense of my insurance company. So it's kind of crazy. We all need to come together and really comprehend and understand when there's evil that they shouldn't have some rights, right? When you do a certain thing to people, and I know that's America, but that's not. That's pure evil, and we need to rid evil. When there's question of if he did it or not, but there is no question. Okay, so we treat people if there is some question if they really did it. But we have the video evidence, and I've seen the evidence is so overwhelming, and they admit, yeah, that was us. We did it. But I did it because my brother pressured me. Like, okay, not an excuse. You still did it, right? So we have to be held accountable for our actions. So the appeals board turned over the death penalty. But the, the Supreme Court reissued it. But they reissued it under this administration that has a pause on all federal death penalties. So nobody will be executed. So he just has a free pass right now. And he's appealing it again, and he's gonna win because again, Massachusetts, they're just gonna keep allowing him to appeal it. They're gonna keep overturning it until we all forget about it. Nobody stands up and says anything, and then they get their way. It's like if you flip a coin over and over and over again, eventually you're gonna get heads, and eventually they're gonna get their way. And I mean, and Obama released five Guantanamo Bay terrorists, prisoners of war, for one American soldier that had left his post and was a traitor. So I do fear that this kid will be released someday. So and it's sad. It's sad to feel that way. And it's to me, it's mind-boggling. I wish he'd just sit in jail and rot, but I mean, he's gonna be squawking from that prison cell continuously, and we're gonna keep paying for him and keep paying for him. And it's sad that like someone like you and someone like my wife who get the very bare minimal in disability assistance and our healthcare and like what we have to fight for wheelchairs and what we have to fight for prosthetics. It's really sad. it's really sad that what our money is going for, going towards, I mean, our politicians are some of the wealthiest people in the world. I mean, let's get real. Like, but yet, my mom who worked 3 jobs her whole life, my dad who worked, I had always had jobs, multiple, paid taxes and then like these great programs that we're supposed to have. I mean, all they are jobs for the people that are working the programs. The red tape is so thick, I give up. You give up. You know how it is. It's garbage. And it's the people that take advantage of these programs that don't get prosecuted. And then it just becomes a big joke and it becomes a vicious cycle. So yeah, I've been to the trials. It is what it is. I hope he gets what's coming to him. And some people are like, oh, he's gonna sit there. And it's like, okay, yeah. Every day they're like, we'll just put him away and never hear about him again. No, unfortunately, we will keep hearing about him. And unfortunately, even if we do put him away and we never hear from him, I'm reminded every day when I put on my prosthetic leg. Every day I remember what he did to me, you know? And I don't choose to focus on that. We're talking about it. I'm passionate about it. But again, for the most part, my head's always up. I'm so blessed. People are great to me. I'm great to people. I do love people. I don't believe in playing God, but I also don't believe letting people get away. I think we need to send a message to protect. If we send a message and it stops one person from committing a heinous crime like that again, and it saves one kid's life or one person's life, it was worth it. And that's the biggest thing. Like we need to protect the innocent. We need to protect the victims and the survivors, um, because we're not. You know what I mean? Like he's. I wish I had the salary that these defense attorneys were making defending an
And
absolute
they're getting
horrible
paid.
person.
Somebody's
I
paying them.
mean, so and I've been blessed, and I'm not complaining about my financial situation at all. I've been so blessed, and so many people don't get, and that's why I give back and I fundraise, and I complain about $1,600. Yes, I mean with this economy, I've lost. I'm like biting my fingernails trying to figure out. I got to get back to work, and that's why I'm creating what I'm creating. But that's not the only reason. What I'm creating is to help people in the mobility community.
Well, thanks for taking some time with us, Mark. I can't wait to see you again and to give you a big hug. And best of luck in the marathon. And you excited for the Red Sox?
Oh yeah, of course, always. Oh, Red Sox organization's great. They're amazing. They're great to us. So I love it. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for the marathon. I want to get it done so I can move on. And but I appreciate you. I appreciate everything you're doing. You're amazing. Like I said, I follow you. I'm always watching behind the screen, following your little Instagrams and your social media, and I'm like, oh, there goes David. There he goes. There he goes again. He's always at it. I love the trash. I love taking out the trash with you.
Thanks,
It's
brother.
an
I
inspiration, man. I
appreciate
couldn't
that.
even imagine.
Well, thanks for taking some time with us. Best of luck in the marathon to your son, everybody in your life. You're
Thank
such
you.
a blessing, my friend. So thank you so much for being such an inspiration to so many. And you know, keep on rolling.
Yeah, we will. Oh, I'm in the
All right.
wheelchair. I'm in the wheelchair right now doing Papa Wheelies.
All right, Mark. Thanks for joining us. That's another amazing episode of Ability Media Now. Continue to follow us on all social media platforms. That's where Ability Media Group is all over, making an impact, trying to show people and taking the disc out of disability. I'm Dave Stevens. Have a great night.